Hey, welcome back, family. Back with another episode of the Left, Right, Left podcast. I am still your host, Mark R. Chabot. Hey, today the podcast is on the road. I am at History Flight headquarters in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And those of you who have been following the show have seen an episode with Sergeant Major Justin D. LeHew. And I am here at his headquarters. He's been gracious enough to lend this to me for the afternoon. So if you haven't seen those episodes, please back up there and do that and check them out. So purpose today is to talk about the Amphibious Assault Memorial, which is my partner, and you've been hearing me, doing plugs for them, trying to get donations up. But we are taking steps, and we are taking steps towards this becoming a reality. This vision, this dream is going to become a reality. Yes. We are going to talk about progress of the memorial. The first person that's here that we're going to talk to is someone who has been tied to the memorial since day one. She is the sister of the national commander, John Atkinson, and I'd like to introduce everybody to Peg Lee.
Great to be here, Mark.
Welcome aboard. Don't be nervous.
Right? I'll try not to be.
Yeah, don't be nervous. No, this is great. It was an amazing day yesterday to get the whole team actually here together, all the board members, to have our sculptor here, to have other partners with the memorial. So Peg, I would like you to kind of just, before we get to that, let's start with how you got involved with the memorial with Colonel Atkinson with Sergeant Major LeHew.
Well, I got a phone call from my brother, being a graphic designer and illustrator by trade. We need some help. We have this great idea, this great project that I think you could help us with. Okay, so we met at my dad's house because Justin was up visiting, John was touring around Boston, and I got a history lesson of the Amtrac, starting with the LVT and its first deployments, in Tarawa and elsewhere, the Alligator Marine, this whole story. And they're like, we need a memorial, we need an association, we don't have one. And just listening to them, listening to their passion, listening to them talk about it, scribbled down ideas, came back with the idea of the Sentinel alligators with this machine in its glorious, active deployment. And these, beautiful men defending our country. And I just look at some of these pictures, these images of these vehicles going into water, and it makes my heart stop. And it's just something that should be memorialized.
Now, from what I understand, it started out on a dinner napkin. Is that true?
Well, yeah. The little rough little sketch was, a little piece of paper, not quite a napkin. But when I went home and sketched things a little bit more tightly, so they could understand what my little swirlies on the paper meant, they were all on board. I think it was the good history lesson that just brought this right to mind, because there's so many different vehicles, starting with this one, coming forward to the modern day one, that it made sense to start with. This is everybody's legacy, the beginning. It's and everybody can identify back to this.
Absolutely. Both coasts can identify with the LVT-1 too. You get the East Coast with the Battle of Tarawa. And then also before the Battle of Tarawa in Guadalcanal, out on the West Coast. At the time, I believe it was 1st Amphibious Tractor Battalion, but they used LVT-1s at Guadalcanal for logistics vehicles. So I agree with you 100%. Everybody can tie their legacy back to the LVT-1, which has paved the way for us today. So it's been fantastic. So yesterday when we all met, you kind of led sort of a lot of the discussions and kind of led the design team sort of in thoughts. Do you want to walk everybody a little bit through about, what you did with, the sculptor and what you did with our partners?
Well, it was great to actually be standing on the site, because I've been working with, here's a photo, here's some measurements. So that's originally what we were working with, to be standing on the site and, all right, this is where we're going to place this, and this is where the wall's going to be, and getting some real dimension to it, some real feel for it. And the spot that we have for this to be placed is just amazing, because all the paths converge. So no matter what direction you come, it's just going to be sitting there. The walkway, it's just going to be beautiful. We got a sense of, how you're going to approach. So this is how we need to situate it so that it will be best viewed from all of the different paths that converge. the height of it, that kind of scale. Some things we tweaked in terms of, maybe this isn't the best way, we'll do it this way, those kind of things that we resolved, which was very helpful. Getting some more history lesson from you and Justin as to various things just helped us say, well, but what if we try this and what if we do this? So I think we're really nailing down the what this will look finally, which is not so far off from what we've envisioned, but just things that will bring it to life more.
Yeah.
Have the alligators be the sentinels that are placed and facing forward in defending the peace.
Yeah. No, I think it was great to actually get out there and everything we're looking at from the path of the sun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seeing where the sunlight hit. Making sure that if you're walking down either path along the memorial walk, that you can actually see the side pose of the statue, right?
And you have gators on all sides so that no matter how you're approaching, there is activity and there is something that just will grab you.
And the other cool part is, we tweak, when you talk about tweaking design, we went from, an oval now, to a more round circle.
On the base.
Yeah. And then also the back wall will be like a half moon, and making sure that we cut that right and it's the right level so you can still see the memorial. So I think yesterday was a productive day, and you're right. I think the best part about it was everybody being able to shake each other's hands.
Yeah.
To meet, because we've been doing the fundraising thing for a long time.
Since 2018.
Yeah, and by the way, everybody, we are not done with the fundraising. We still got a ways to go.
We have a big ways to go.
But this right here was a huge action step to get everybody together and go out there.
It's exciting because everybody got to see this. So add some more real reality to it, to see the site.
Yeah.
And walking around that whole beautiful memorial park, it's incredible, beautiful work. And it's interesting to see that a lot of things, they're just placed. Here's a statue. Here's a statue. We're having this whole, we've created sort of a stage that's just really, it's not just this beautiful piece, but it's going to be presented with this wall and with our history on the wall and with, memorializing people and in battalions and everything, our history, our legacy. I say our because now I feel like I'm part of the community, and I know that's very presumptuous, but I've met a lot of people that make me feel like, just very involved.
Yeah, I think it's really going to be a great representation that anybody who either served in the MOS in the community or they are affiliated with somebody, they're related to somebody, whatever it is, that they're going to be able to walk in here and be able to, you're right, it's like a presentation of legacy and history. It's not just a statue.
Right.
From the brick lane to the wall to the units to the the sponsors that are also going to have spots out there.
Yep.
And it is going to be the most impressive memorial along the memorial walk. And I know I'm biased, but I do believe that.
And we hope to tell the story from the LVT to the modern day with a timeline of the vehicles that will be in the wall that will share everybody's experience. And the wall will be big enough that it will grow as as our history and legacy goes forward. Yep. It will be able to be placed on this wall,
no doubt,
and be part of this. So it's exciting because there's a lot of momentum now that we didn't feel a year or two ago, and that's helpful. It's hopeful.
I just wanted to because I know that you won't, so I'll do it for you. The amount of work and effort that you've put into the memorial and into the association, and just your artistry work alone, I would probably place it as somewhere around $800,000 to $900,000 of personal hours and time that you have devoted to this effort, right? And I know your brother, you love your brother, of course, and he's an Amtracker. And I don't know a lot of people that would do that, Peg. First off, on behalf of the community, we truly appreciate that. But why? Why do you continue just to pour your heart and soul into this, and you get something in return, but I'd like you to tell what that return is.
Well, first and foremost, I'm blessed that I have the supportive husband that I have, that without his support and his backing up and saying, do this and have fun with it, and I wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to donate the time and the effort. And so he's a bigger sponsor than anybody else of this whole entire thing at this point. And I just want to say thank you for his involvement. But when it first started, when we were talking about it, it sounds like fun. This will be a fun thing to do. This will be great. But then I got to go out. We went to Pendleton. We went to down in Florida. It was Forthrex. Yeah, various places, and I met all these young Marines. We sat in on some meetings, and there's all these it gave you just such hope in the future of the country, number one. But then walking down the hallway and the wall with those who were lost. And you just tear up. It's like, and they're babies. I have children that age or older than that. And it's like, this is why this matters. And so it's become that, this matters so much more than, wow, what a fun project this is going to be.
Right. Yeah.
It's a fun project. It's been frustrating because of the fundraising. It's like, come on, everybody get as excited as we are because it's worth it.
Yeah, it is.
It's so worth it.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a statue. It's about the community and going forward, the association that will be hopefully a lot for the community.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, this is, and John said it before numerous times that, that our community, unintentionally kind of takes a back seat to other communities. And this right here is just a way to kind of corral everybody up and get people, to be proud. And they should be proud. I mean, everywhere I go and I talk to somebody, I don't tell them that I was a Sergeant Major. The first thing I tell them is that I was an 1833 Amtracker.
And why should it take a back seat? Weren't you guys always the first ones in?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
There's just, it's one of those things where I don't think that we give enough appreciation for how important our community is in the Marine Corps. And this is a way just to sort of emphasize, the legacy that we've laid down, and I'm glad to be a part of it. It's my honor to be a part of it. And I can't thank, you and your husband enough, Peg, for all your involvement. And we're in it now. We're in it to win it. And we're going to see this thing all the way through.
And just, God bless anybody that sees the value in donating and helping us get there, because we need help. We need a lot of help. And I see a lot of the same names every month that are donating, and I find that it's awesome. I mean, that's what we've made up over $200,000 on those kind of donations.
Right.
Just, small pledges, people just doing what they can. Names, there are people whose names I see every month, and I'm like, I want to meet this person, because
right.
John's it's like, he's an enlisted guy, he served 4 years. I'm like, I want to meet him when this is done. I hope he comes to this dedication, because without him and people like him, this isn't going to happen. I see your name every month.
Every month.
And, it's very important.
It is important. And my attitude about it is that, I believe that the memorial will be, more rich in history to be the majority of it paid for by the people who cut their teeth in these vehicles and within this mission. And the other part about it that will be, really important is that when we do kick off a ceremony and we do the unveiling of this memorial, for you to sit there at Quantico, Virginia, or to view it, on video or whatever, you can look at it and say, I had a part in that. Whether you donated $10 or whether you donated $10,000, you'd be like, I'm a part of that history.
And your grandkids can say that you were part of that history, and so on and so forth. And it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting. And working with Gareth has been great, because this is a sculpture, sculpting in bronze and whatnot. It's just nothing that I know anything about. But, so working together so that he can take my vision and make it concrete or not bronze, not concrete, but is exciting.
Yeah. And before I get to introducing Gareth, Peg, I'd like to afford you the opportunity to give a shout out to anybody out there you'd like to say hello to.
I will say hello to my family. My husband and I have an extended hassle of kids and grandkids, so hello to all, and just hopefully they'll all get to see this in reality too.
I hope so too. And shout out to Massachusetts, where Peg and I are from, born and raised in the Commonwealth. Yeah. So to all the Mass folks out there.
My dad, God bless him, who's a big sponsor as well. Yeah,
yeah. Peg, thanks for taking the time, to provide an update, provide, your passion, and I'm motivated right now, just hearing your story, and I can feel, your sense of commitment to this, and thank you so much for doing that.
Well, thank you for what you're doing to just keep the word out there, keep people aware, and yes, as they say.
That's right. Yeah, it's my honor to do so. All right, thanks, Peg. I'd like to introduce everybody to the sculptor of the LVT-1 and the alligators. His name is Mr. Gareth Curtiss. Gareth, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Gareth, you've been doing sculpting now for a long time. Would you mind telling everybody a little bit about, your background and how you got into doing this?
All right. Well, I was born and raised in Northwest Montana, and my studio and foundry are still there. I've been creating artwork for more than 40 years, and commissioned sculpture I've over 30 years. I have had a foundry where I cast all of my own work for a very long time, and so when you see my pieces, they're completely produced by myself. To date, I've done more than 50 statues around the United States. Most of those are life-size or larger portraits of people, and I've done a lot of work for the military.
Yes, so we're talking about, you building statues and things like that. I think that there's not a lot of understanding amongst people about how that process unfolds, right? So could you tell everybody a little bit about kind of start to finish? Particularly, you can even hit on what we were doing yesterday up at the National Museum of the Marine Corps as well.
Up with a design concept. Oftentimes, I'll have people that'll pose for me in models. I like to go out to a given site and really study it carefully and get an idea like the track of the sun, what the principal viewing angles are going to be for the work, kind of put that all into the equation. Then I embark on creating a small model, a series of drawings, and get all the things worked out, both for my own head, but also for the people I've been working with. Because anytime you're talking public sculpture, it's not just a single person's vision and idea. I'm used to working with others and incorporating their ideas as part of the process.
Yeah, so yesterday, our team, we all met at the National Museum of the Marine Corps, Gareth, and our other partners, the partners who are going to be doing the wall and doing some of the plaques and things. And we went out there and we studied the ground a little bit, and Gareth, measured out some stuff, and Colonel Atkinson will put out some of that information, on the Facebook social media site. He also came up with this small clay design right here of how the Tractor Memorial is going to look in the envisionment of it. So, Gareth, when you're talking about, you're starting it, right? Like your shop in Montana, right? Like you're talking about a sculpture that is going to be, 8 feet by 14 feet. We're talking about something that's gargantuan. So tell everybody a little bit about how you're going to start it and how you're going to work the way out.
Well, the next steps for the process, I put together this small model, and just to give people a visual of how it might look. It's quite complicated. There's a lot of stuff that'll be going on this. This will actually change and morph as it goes on. My next step, I'll be creating a larger scale model of the project, all about establishing the composition for the piece. Once it's firmly in place how this thing is going to look, then I'm going to create this thing full size. Now, when I'm working on a life-size statue, full size, it would be 6 feet tall. This one, although it's not going to be life-size, it's still going to be very significant. From here to here, we're talking 8 feet, which makes this basically half life-size to what the actual tractors are. So this is going to be a significant hunk of bronze. And so what I will do, once I've got complete approval on the small ones, I'll make this thing big, and it'll be created out of clay in my studio. And once I have created the clay, the next step is to embark on the lost wax process of casting. And timeless art, been around thousands of years.
I think one of the things that I've been hearing as I've been traveling around promoting the memorial has been, hey, we want something that is going to stand the test of time. And what I mean by that is that, working on Quantico and going to the museum all the time, sometimes some of the quality maybe isn't where it should be. So I know that you've been doing this for 40 years and you've got these processes in place to make sure that our statues and the memorial will stand the test of time. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the old school approach compared to sort of the newer school approach, so that way the audience can appreciate, the memorial that they're paying for?
Absolutely. There are some modern techniques that are used when it comes to public sculpture. I'm more old school. I'm using modern materials and modern casting techniques, but I'm kind of doing it the same way that Bernini and Michelangelo, a lot of those guys that were doing sculpture hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So some things have changed, other things have not. The basic steps I take are, again, creating the full-scale model in clay. And then I have to make molds. And the materials I use now, they're very different from what they were done, 1,000 years ago. But I disassemble the piece, make molds out of rubber and with fiberglass backing. And with those molds, I'm going to make wax duplicates of all the different parts and pieces. A single life-size statue, my molds on the thing, they might be in 12 to 14 pieces. With these large molds, you remove those from the artwork. And then when you go ahead to do the bronze casting, you pour hot wax into the molds or paint wax onto the surface of those molds. And say if you're doing a life-size head or something, you've got a large mold, you pour the hot wax in, rotate it around, pour the wax out, and you make a hollow wax duplicate.
Sure.
Whatever the thickness of that wax is going to be the thickness of the finished bronze casting. So from the wax, you have these wax duplicates of the artwork. I mount a wax pour spout to that with bars and channels of wax. And once I've completed that, cleaned it all up, I coat that with a shell that's made, it's like a ceramic shell, but it's basically a high fire refractory. This is what was designed by NASA for the space program. You can put a fingerprint on a wax and it could very well come out in the finished casting. Very precise. These ceramic shells are very strong. With the wax inside, I put them in my kiln. I melt the wax out, have a hollow shell. Look them over for cracks, make sure there's no problems. Then I melt my bronze down, and bronze is very hot when I pour it. 2250 is my preferred pouring temperature. Sometimes a little lower, sometimes a little higher depending on the part that I'm casting.
Yeah.
And this track memorial, I would imagine by the time I'm at the pouring stage, I will probably have, maybe 100 different pieces, 100 different sections that I have to cast this in. Object is I wind up having a huge pile of parts, which is like a big three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes it's kind of interesting if you got parts that are very similar, and so a lot of times I'll number and letter everything so I know exactly how they'll go and fit back together again. Because every piece you do, it's uniquely new as far as the way the metal's going to flow, the thickness of what the wax was, a lot of different variables. And so problems occur. Like many things, it's all about advanced problem solving.
Right.
Yeah, always a crisis that you solve.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday, I appreciate that you were showing me, on your phone, parts of the process and kind of how it worked. I think it's a perfect time right now. We'll sort of take a pause. And what I want to do is upload some footage and some photos actually of your work. So that way, all the viewers and all the Amtrackers and the Yazzers out there can see kind of behind the scenes how this thing works. So go ahead and check out this footage here from Gareth. Gareth, that's some amazing work that you're doing. You're incredible. It's one thing to see, to go and visit, all these memorials and all the statues throughout the country and stuff. It's another thing to get a behind the scenes look. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us. So to kind of tie it all together, right? Can you sort of take the mold here, the scale that you did, and kind of walk everybody through it a little bit?
Putting this together, I just purchased a small model to show, but the actual one is a little bit different, and so it'll appear different in the full figure of the piece. So, but the designation of these vehicles, some of them were water buffaloes and everything, but the first ones were called the alligators, and you notice, just as a commemorating about the alligators, there will be alligators on the base that are basically going to be life-size. Some of them are kind of be snapping and whatnot. Mm-hmm. What's being depicted is the vehicle is crashing. They were deployed far out at sea. They came in and then they encountered a reef. And this is at the point where they encountered the reef and they were crashing over the reef. And it'll still have a number of the figures in the vehicle. Once they got over the reef, the reality was many of those men had to deploy and had to wade into shore for a long time. And the track vehicles and their operators were giving covering fire for the people that were in sea.
Right.
It was very dramatic. And so the notion is to capture the drama of what occurred. And the scale of the figures, while not life-size, they're going to be large enough where you can feel the emotion. And the thing about sculpture, you want to capture emotion. You want to, so the work can interact with people, and you're capturing kind of a timeless moment.
The LVT one, which, cutting across the reef right here, it's going to say across the reef as well. And then the cool part is, you're going to, yourself as a sculptor, you're going to be able to kind of make it all come together. It's going to look very realistic with the waves, with the coral that's underneath here, with the infantrymen also that are embarked in the back of the vehicle, with the driver who is actually going to be behind the 50 caliber machine gun, which is really cool. So I'll just say that yesterday, walking the ground, with everybody, with the whole entire team, the 1 mile memorial walk, out of all the memorials that were built down there, no doubt about it that this one is going to be the hallmark of that walk, and it's going to be a real eye catcher. I appreciate you, taking on this project, with us, Gareth. What do you think about the project in itself? Like, how does that, like, when you're going through this and you're putting it all together and you're listening to all the feedback and you're, what kind of emotions, are associated with you with it?
Military work has come to me. It came to me early on in my career, and I have real passion for it. And so all these things that I've done in the past and with this one, I live with them. This thing is going to be small, and then it's going to be very big in my shop for the many months it'll take me to create it. And so, it's my life winds up getting centered around these things. And I take in everybody's input. I know a lot of the vets from World War II have passed away. My dad was a World War II vet, all of his friends, my uncles. So World War II, I've got a huge library with a lot of books about World War II. And I've had a keen interest in all of this and heard so many stories. And, this will be an impactful memorial. The site where it's going to be located, it's like hallowed ground. It's beautiful. The walking trails are incredible. I believe this is going to be a great addition to the site. I'm just really pleased to be part of it.
Yeah. And thankful that you would take us up, and build us, in your schedule to make this beautiful memorial. Because, in my opinion, Gareth, it just has to get done right. This just can't be some, it can't be given to some large corporation, that takes shortcuts and cuts corners. It's got to be done right. It's got to be done with the right amount of care. And then also with care, if you're passionate about it and you're passionate about the story behind it, you're going to put, every little bit of detail possible into it, to the point of, the track blocks, to the rough edges, as they were coming up in the reef, all those scars that were on the vehicle hull. You're going to be able to recreate all that because you're tied to the story. So I think that's the reason, why we chose you is, just because we know that you're going to put the care into it and it's going to stand the test of time. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I'm passionate about what I do and I think this is going to be a great project. It's very exciting.
Yeah, Gareth, would you like to give a shout out to your family or any of your loved ones before we move on?
Well, I love you all, and I'm glad you're watching this, and it's going to be fun seeing it all to come together. So thank you.
Hey, it's been an honor to finally meet you in person, and again, I look forward, to seeing the cast moldings here in the future, and I will see you again Memorial Day weekend as we go visit the site again. But thank you, my friend. It's been great.
Yeah,
thank
bye-bye.
you. Take care.